As part of the Nebraska Soybean Board's See for Yourself international marketing program, Nebraska soybean producers recently saw how the Port of New Orleans is shipping ag goods to international buyers. Last March, we showed you how the Port of Grays Harbor on the coast of Washington received soybeans from Nebraska and delivered them across the ocean. The majority of Nebraska's soybeans exit the country via the West Coast, but because most farmers' commodities are priced to the east, and because foreign buyers can increase the value and sustainability of Nebraska's crops, our state's producers saw how critical the Mississippi River and Port of New Orleans are to their bottom lines.
If there was a year to emphasize the Mississippi River's importance, it'd be a drought year like 2012. Low water levels from months of little or no rain threatened barge traffic and billions of dollars worth of shipments along one of the country's most important waterways. Originating in north-central Minnesota, the Mississippi River flows over 2,300 miles, picking up the ends of the Missouri, Ohio, and Arkansas rivers along the way. While most Nebraska soybean exports head west to Grays Harbor in Washington, this river and the Missouri on Nebraska's border both carry significance to the state's farmers.
Not only, from Omaha on down, but even the Mississippi River from, St. Louis on north. And we need to keep that going to keep our exports heading toward this area.
The Mississippi River Basin accounts for 92% of the nation's agricultural exports. The port can turn trucks moving containers in less than an hour and has the advantage of being served by 6 major rail lines. Road and rail are helpful, but when it comes to agriculture at this port, water is king.
We're trying to capitalize on all the bulk commodities that flow on the river. Over 60% of the nation's agriculture exports flow on the river. And so we're trying to capture some of that ag commodities that's already moving and containerizing it.
The Port of New Orleans imports over 1.5 million tons of steel each year from Japan, Brazil, Russia, and Mexico. It also brings in large quantities of natural rubber from Asia. Those incoming ships that would otherwise pay for an empty return trip through the Panama Canal have now found a fit with either 20 or 40 feet long containerized commodities. Though haulers on the West Coast can reach Asia in 15 days, a shipment from this Gulf can take 20 days longer. But the Port of New Orleans provides overseas buyers another location to buy U.S. goods while also benefiting from two-way trade.
The ships are getting larger, the containerized ships are getting larger, so shipping lines have to fill more slots on their vessel. And because of the trade imbalance, there's a lot of empty containers that end up going back to Asia. And so having those empty containers, shipping lines are turning to agricultural exports to fill those empties to go back to Asia.
The U.S. sends thousands of empty containers back to their original locations each year. But that may soon change. This port exported nearly 2.9 million tons of containerized cargo in 2011, over an 8% increase from 2010. While only a very small portion would be from Nebraska, it doesn't mean that growth in New Orleans doesn't affect the state.
It still helps our commodity markets because, we're based primarily off commodities that are east of us. And so anything that would happen with the river system to either slow it down or enhance it would definitely help our prices at home.
With the rise of major buyers like China and major growers like Brazil, uninterrupted U.S. transportation is arguably as important as ever. Whether the product moves by rail to the west or barge down the Mississippi, farmers in both situations share a common interest in the end user.
One of the biggest things is just how much of our commodities move on the river and how very, very, very important it is even to us in Nebraska, because every bushel that goes down that river is a bushel that doesn't have to come out of Nebraska to go west. We're all completely intertwined in a global market, and the port in Louisiana is huge in that.
One disadvantage the Port of New Orleans might have is its proximity to the reach of New Orleans. With the city so close to the port, expansion is nearly impossible. It's a mostly linear port in New Orleans with a 2-mile-long platform in one stretch for loading and unloading. The lack of space for development means the port must become more efficient in order to increase its numbers.